Yeah. Howard. Hey, don't get him. Yeah, that's all right. I'll take it.
I will reference material for my readings. Would you okay if I handed it out to make it council? People come and hand you my dissertation.
You're writing a dissertation? No, seriously.
Oh, I work at a
No,
college.
That can be counted. Where's your daughter going? In Japan? That's where my son went.
Oh, yeah.
I have everything on it's 25 for the best, everything. It does. So as you think, you wonder why we have more than that.
Yes.
You don't fit in the chairs.
No, I'm not.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of the meetings of the Township Council, established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using electronic amplifying of the recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record, and request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison.
Present.
Ms. Grace. Mrs. Albright Troxel. Here. Mrs. Stubbs. Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Garlemire.
Here.
Mr. Cardis.
Here.
And Chief Harkins.
Here.
Mr. Chadwell.
Here. Mr. McGill, sitting in for Mr. Chadwell. Thank you, Mr. McGill. Before we go to the public portion, there are two items that have to be amended on the bid report for the pickleball court and parking lot, and parking lot expansion. The number was inverted for Command Company, Inc. It says that the bid amount was $437,700. That is $473,700. So $473,700 is the bid for Command Company, Inc. And then the second thing is on Resolution 330. The resolution of the Township Council authorizing auction of surplus vehicles, equipment, and miscellaneous items. That date has been changed to December 17th, 2022. We'll now open up the public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Each speaker is entitled to 3 minutes. Again, it's for agenda items only. So the item has to be on the agenda list. If you have any other topics that you'd like to discuss, the second public portion is a 30-minute portion. Each speaker is entitled to 5 minutes. Mr. Heimball.
Peter Heimball, Morningstar Court. Good evening.
Good evening, excuse me.
Regarding Resolution 323, that's the $4 million borrowing. This overspending and emergency spending need, was anything presented to council that documented this overspending, or we voted on this at the last meeting? Was anything, when council was explained to this, was there any document that was given to council?
Mr. Cardis contacted me about this. They also went from the local finance board. At the last meeting, I had requested to provide a copy of the minutes. Those minutes are not available as of yet. Is that correct, Mr. Cardis?
That's correct.
From the local finance board. The mayor, the CFO, and Mr. Cardis had to appear, had to be sworn in before the local finance board.
But council was not provided.
I don't have the
Just verbally. So the vote to approve this emergency borrowing was all verbal explanation to council?
From the CFO, the business administrator, and the mayor.
So if the public wanted to see documentation, it would be the minutes from this,
From the local finance board, yes.
no other document or,
That's the best evidence.
well, it's after the fact though. We've already, evidence should have been provided before the fact, I think, but, so it was stated at the last, regarding this $4 million borrowing, we have this ARP grant money in our account, sitting in our account, 3.4 million. It was stated we don't want to use that to pay toward this emergency overspending. We'd rather borrow. But it was also stated that the township is unable to move that grant money into 2022 revenue for some New Jersey financial reasons or statutes or things like that. Is that did I understand that properly?
Mr. Cardis?
So what you could do is overexpend the appropriation, in which case that creates a deferred charge. That deferred charge goes into the following year's budget, and you could offset any revenue you have towards that appropriation. The problem with the deferred charge is, and we will end up probably getting a lower bond rating.
All during the course of the year, our town and every town adds revenue to the budget after it's been adopted during the course of the year under a statute, New Jersey statute, that's most commonly used to recognize grants.
That's a chapter 159. That chapter
Yeah.
159 is used for grant money. So
It doesn't say it has to be grant money. That's the most common use for it. But I think the way the chapter reads, it doesn't have to be just for that. It can be used for a purpose like
I've never
this.
seen it used for anything else.
But can it be? Can it be? I think it can be.
No, I don't believe it can. I think.
Well,
it has to
can
have
we
an
find that
offset.
out?
Right. Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
find it out
yes.
for sure? And can we table this borrowing until we find that out for sure?
I would recommend that.
Approved by the local finance agency, I'm not voting to delay this vote. Okay,
Delayed what?
I'm not gonna delay the vote tonight. Okay? So if that's your question, the answer is no.
Mr. Heimball, thank you very much for your time. If we have more time, you come back up. Ms. Smithman.
Hello, good evening, council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, apartment 341. When I was reading the resolution for the R2211-323, in section 1, for the year, it said, it was blank, it just went up to the year 2002, so 20 what?
That was done intentionally.
Go ahead, Ms. Carter.
That was done intentionally because we did not know whether or not we would do the borrowing, the floating of the bond anticipation note in December or January. So that would have changed that number from a 2 to a 3 if we did that. Right now, we're on schedule to do it and I believe it's December 15th when we're closed.
But you'll have
Matter
the,
of writing, it's just a matter of writing in the number.
so you will make the correction for what day
I
or
don't
what
consider it a
year?
correction. It was left intentionally open.
I mean, it could have said December 2022 or January 2023, but you didn't, you just left it blank. That's a 10-year swing.
I know what it says. I read it.
Right, thank you. And R2211-327. And it says a resolution to release of securities for Monarch self-storage. Does release, are you referring to, you're going to lease it again? Or you're going to let it go, like release it, like let it go? Like, I'm just trying to understand it. I don't even know what it is. I just don't know what it meant.
It could be a company or individual that puts up a guarantee or a bond on a certain project.
Wait, but is it, is it?
And that's, may I finish? That's held with the township. So here it's releasing the securities back to Monarch Self-Storage.
So they're going to release it again.
No, they put a bond or they put down money that they held in escrow here, and we release it back to that individual or company. Because they completed their work on the whatever project that they had.
I'm sorry.
You have a
Also,
microphone.
This is a standard type release. If the project has been completed in accordance with plan and engineering inspection, they have a right to have the bond released, and then they post a maintenance guarantee, and that's what's being posted here in place of the bond.
So you're going to give it back to them.
Once the
Yes.
maintenance guarantee period passes, then they release the maintenance guarantee also.
All right, thank you. R2211-330. They're auctioning off surplus vehicles and equipment. Now, I know this is the county of Camden. I grew up in Gloucester County, Monroe Township, but our Williamstown High School did utilize the Berlin Cross Keys Road, the tech school located on that road. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I know that this is not a school board meeting, but if you're going to release surplus vehicles that have been used for public use by government officials, have you considered sending those vehicles to be refurbished by the tech company? I think it would be a good education for the children. If you get the vehicles over to the mechanic section, have them review it, do all the point checks, and that way the vehicles you're selling will be totally refurbished. They'll have an overseer to guide them through it and show them what needs to be checked, how to check it, double check it. And then you would be selling a better piece of equipment, something that's been actually refurbished. Have you considered that?
Mr. Cars, have we considered that in the past?
No, we haven't.
Is that something you might want to consider?
We'll think about it for the upcoming year.
Thank you. R 2211.
Ms. Smithman, your time is up. You can come back up again if there's additional time left in the first public portion. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Mr. Polidoro?
Excuse me, I have a problem with property taxes. Want to take a look at that?
That's in the second public portion.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the Historic Village of Ariel.
Good evening.
So we understand, before we move ahead with this borrowing, what was the existing health insurance shortage to date? Obviously, it's not 4 million. What do you have as a calculated number right now?
Mr. Garcia, that number.
I don't have that number, Ray. If I had to guess, and I hate to guess, I would say it's about 2 million. But it's going to be probably about $900,000 also in claims run out. So even though the year ends, you're still going to have claims.
And you're anticipating this to stay on pace for an unforeseen amount of time? The shortage, it'll continue on because you don't have an end date?
We're working right now to figure out, what the proper course is for us to take.
Okay. In this year of 2022, how many times did we borrow or bond or float notes? How many times and what amount are you up to just in 2022? This
I
year's
would even
debt.
guess, Mr. Garcia, I would come back to Mr. Polidoro with
Yeah.
the correct answer.
Then we borrowed.
Off the top of his head, it's kind of hard to answer.
But we did borrow 16.
I'm sure you may have the answer with you.
It's in the teens, right?
We'll give you an answer back, Mr.
Okay.
Polidoro.
Do you know what the rate of borrowing is at this particular time in November 2022? What rate if we were bonding
What's different between.
from a note? I get that. I'm just talking about the pattern of borrowing, where the rates are at right now, where in the past you used to retire notes and pass them on to a better rate, which is not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, the note rates are higher right now than the permanent financing.
Okay. And to this extent, the borrowing and our pattern about borrowing, you keep on bringing up, the council seems to not be okay with it, our bond rating. Is our bond rating still A+?
I believe it is, yeah.
Which is what, the third best? It's not top notch. It's not even really all that impressive to a lot of people. A+ is not that impressive. Mr. Heimbo asked a question, whereas you folks are voting on on that note, it's $4 million and you act like it's a pocket change. And yet, Mr. Heimbo asked if you guys saw anything in writing. And your answer to him was, well, the administration attended this conversation and I'm okay with that. And I begin to call into question once again, the separation of powers. Is everything that they hand down to you just going to be a head nod and you're going to be okay with whatever they send down? I mean, the separation of powers is where you ask the questions. You need to know the answers. I know two that may have some idea. I don't know that all 7 of you do. And you're getting ready to pass a $4 million more debt, which makes next year going to be difficult. You'll do zero. You'll always find a way to do zero. But 2024 looks like it's going to be a devastating year for the people of this town. Devastating. But you'll find a way next year that won't happen. And yet, you're not reading a piece of paper telling you the details of what you'll be voting on tonight. And one council member was absolutely certain he's not going to let this go one day past the day. That's, again, I'll call in this the question. Separation of powers. They just hand it down and you guys are very okay with it. Sad day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Polidoro. Is there anyone else? Mr. Eckstein? Eckstein. I'm sorry.
Ira Eckstein, Glen Oaks. I had a question about this pickleball court. Where did it come from, the idea?
Mr. Cardis?
Various residents have requested that we install pickleball.
How many?
It's quite popular. I'd have to check with the rec center, but I know they've had several requests. People seem to be pretty excited about it.
When I used to play racquetball, I used to join the racquetball club. You want to play pickleball, join the pickleball club.
So I would assume you're against pickleball, so.
Well, I'm against spending almost $500,000, yes.
Okay, well,
I mean, there's probably as many people here that don't want to see it built. That you're saying people want to have it built.
you may be right, I don't know.
All right, I've never played pickleball. But I can tell you right now, a lot of people ask about, I wouldn't even know what it looks like. But it is very popular. My father moved into a development in Washington Township, and they have courts there, and they're constantly occupied. I think that your point is well taken, that you don't want to see the money being spent on something like that.
You're in the process of
And-
borrowing $4 million
Yeah.
for an important issue. So why are you taking almost $500,000 and pissing it away?
So when they were building the hockey complex in Lakeland, I had misgivings about that. And I spoke to former council president, Dean Keeney, and I told him, I said, what are we doing? And he said, Dan, it's a good idea. It's going to be well used. And when they did the turfs at Hickstown Park or Gloucester Township Community Park, I had similar things. But these places are they're used. The people in the town utilize these things.
There comes a time where every other year, well, it's not every other year you raise taxes. That's a given.
Okay.
Don't spend money. Don't have to. You know, there's a breaking point.
Sure.
But nobody does anything. You gotta just say, yeah, okay, let's spend more money.
Well, that's your take on it, Ira.
Yeah, you're right,
You and I
it
are
is.
gonna beg to- We'll disagree, but that's fine. But I do
I
recognize.
don't need your
point.
permission to disagree.
I'm sorry?
I don't need your permission to disagree.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I don't want to be adversarial with you, Ira. Okay? You're shaking your head, and that's fine. I understand where you're coming from, okay?
Thank you. That's the end of our public portion.
Yeah.
We have a 15-minute time period. We start at 7:35, it's 7:51. Bid proclamation.
Drive sober or get pulled over 2022 year-end holiday crackdown. Whereas approximately 1/3 of all fatal traffic crashes in the United States involve impaired drivers. And whereas impaired driving crashes killed 11,654 people in the United States in 2020. And whereas impaired driving crashes cost the United States almost $44 billion a year. And whereas during the past 5 years, New Jersey's roadways experienced 33,798 crashes and 662 fatalities involving impaired driving. And whereas as an enforcement crackdown is planned to combat impaired driving, and whereas the year-end holiday season is traditionally a time for social gatherings, which include alcohol. And whereas the State of New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety has asked law enforcement agencies throughout the state to participate in the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2022 year-end holiday crackdown. And whereas the project will involve increased impaired driving enforcement from December 2nd, 2022 through January 1st, 2023. And whereas an increase in impaired driving enforcement and a reduction in impaired driving will save lives on our roadways. Therefore, be it resolved, the Township Council declares its support for the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2022 year-end holiday crackdown from December 2nd, 2022 through January 1st, 2023, and pledges to increase awareness of dangerous drinking and driving.
Bid report.
Pickleball court and parking lot expansion amended. Gloucester Township High School Path Health and Wellness Fitness Trail, construction management and inspection services for the Gloucester Township Bike Path rebid.
I entertain a motion.
Council President, this is a vote to accept bids, correct?
It's to accept bids.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Winters,
Yes.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. Next is our consent agenda. Any council member would like to have any item removed, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Say thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Winters, Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. Next is our GTE Gov Access emails. Bear with me, we have about 5 of them this evening.
Council President, what time did we get these? Because I didn't get a chance to look at anything.
109, 1209, 1242. 445,
4:45 today
yes.
from
I'm sorry, 234, I'm sorry.
Are any of the individuals who posed those emails, are they in the audience today?
One is.
Okay, well, I would suggest, Council President,
2.
if somebody's in the audience
Mr.
today,
Heimball's here as well.
if they're in the audience today, let them come up to the microphone and ask the question. Because if they're gonna send it today, I mean, how meaningful a response can we give?
I'll note that and take that under consideration, Mr. Hutchinson. I think going forward, when these eGov access emails come in, most of them come in a little bit later towards the afternoon. It doesn't give the administration or myself opportunity to research these topics. So that's something that for the new year, going forward, most likely the reorganization will discuss that and have something in place that'll give us more time to answer these questions. But I'll take that under consideration. The first GTE Gov access emails from Denise Coyne, 1062 Layton Road. Dave Mayer told us that single stream recycling saves the township thousands of dollars because we make money selling our recyclables versus paying to dump them in a landfill. Tom Carter stated at the last council meeting that we pay the landfill more per ton to dispose of recyclables than we do to dispose of our trash. Is Gloucester Township's recycling program profitable or is it costing taxpayers money? Recycling throughout the years has generated revenue and saved the township on trash disposal fees. It's only been the last couple of months that recycling had a tip fee more than the trash tip fee. The markets fluctuate over time. Hopefully the recycling market will perform better in the future. Also, recycling is the most importantly about saving the environment, in addition to not just that's about saving money. Recycling is mandatory for every town and business state of New Jersey. Eliminating or any talk of eliminating the recycling program is not an option at this time. 2, how much rent is the township collecting each month from the trash collector for the use of the public works building? We receive $5,450 per month, and that's from Interstate Waste Services. Our next GTE he left, is from Mr. Heimball from Morningstar Court. On 12/31/2021, Resolution 21-12-340 was passed by Gloucester Township Council to execute a lease agreement between Cannabis Cultivator Resident Bliss LLC and GT. Will you please give me the status of this lease agreement? Mr. Carter, that was a letter of intent. We do not have a lease agreement with.
That's correct, and to my knowledge, a letter of intent has not been received, signed by the intended applicant. And they needed that letter of intent to go through their cannabis application with the state of New Jersey, that they had the ability to sign a lease for a particular location for the type of cannabis program that they wanted to administer. I don't know the status of their application, but I do know the letter of intent was never received back, to my knowledge, to the office, signed by the applicant.
Thank you. Next is from Sam Sweet, 18 Elizabeth Place. On this agenda, I see we are accepting bids for 1, pickleball court, and 2, Gloucester Township Bicycle Path Health and Fitness Trail. The pickleball court was on the 2022 capital projects report, but the amount budgeted for it was $200,000. We are now accepting a bid of $451,830. Why the difference, and where are we getting the money from? This was included in the capital budget. There's a parking lot in addition to this. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Cardis?
No, combination of the parking lot and the pickleball comes up to about the 450 figure.
In addition, why are we accepting the higher bid for the short top construction, not the lower bid? That bid report was incorrect. I stated at the beginning of the meeting that the numbers were inverse. In addition, the health and fitness trail is also on the 2022 capital projects report. The amount allocated was $106,500. It appears that the Gloucester Township has 2 bids, a base bid number 1 and an alternate bid number 1. Base bid number 1 ranges from $1.5 million to $2.5 million, where alternate bid number 1 ranges from $113,200 to $219,000. Can you please provide some clarity on the bids? Are these 2 different bids? Are they 2 separate bids? Why the significant difference? Each bid was a bid with an alternate due to the fact that pricing can come in significantly higher than the estimate. We're currently meeting with the Federal Highway Department to see if they can pick up the additional cost. It also appears that we received 2 bids for inspection of the bike path. One bid is approximately $375,000, where the other one is approximately $149,000. The response to that, this project mandates that the engineer designing the project cannot be the same engineer inspecting the project. Is that so? That's true. Lastly, all these amounts are significantly higher than the budget, $106,500. Where's the money coming from? The township received a federal highway grant to fund this project. $106,500 was required by the Federal Highway Department as a match when we were initially approved for the project. Another GTE Gov Access email from Sam Sweet, 18 Elizabeth Place. In 2017 and 2018, Gloucester Township borrowed $70,600 and $75,000 respectively for engineering design for Johnson Road repaving. What is not on the capital projects is the actual repaving of Johnson Road. Were those roads ever repaid? If so, how is it paid for? Mr. McGill?
Yes, Johnson Road was funded through capital funding for the first phase, but every additional phase was funded through DOT.
And it's been completed. Thank you, Mr. McGill. And our last eGov question from Denise Coyne. It's 1060 Choose Landing Road. Was the villages of Gloucester, amended redevelopment plan ever completed? If so, was it approved? We do not believe this completed or approved. We're going to reach out to TNM to confirm tomorrow, and we'll get back to Ms. Coyne on that.
Can you,
Okay, yes. We're now open up the second public portion. This is for any item. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Each speaker is entitled to 5 minutes. There's 30 minutes during the public portion. Yes, ma'am. And I ask that each speaker please adhere to your 5-minute time limit. The clock is right there to my left.
This is not even one.
Well, miss, we have each speaker is entitled to 5 minutes. You can start off with 5, and we have time to come back, and you come back for additional 5.
Okay, well, in 2020.
Can I have your name and address, please?
My name is Shirley Bodine at 48 Fairmount Avenue in Erie, New Jersey. I've been there almost 44 years. My major problem is the incompetence of this tax office here, the tax assessor. Okay, back in 2020, I had a major problem with miscommunication with amounts that the taxes were supposed to be paid. I was penalized because of someone else's negligence. We went round and round. Sandy, this person named Sandy, ignorant and very disrespectful person, plus 2 clerks at the window, both called me to my face that I was a liar. Nobody told me any and confirmed any amounts that those checks. I had to get 2 cashier's checks that time. Now this year, right idea. In August, I'm gonna pay August taxes and I'm gonna pay November's taxes. I was given the amount of what the check, the cashier's check, I forget what it was, whatever it was. All right, I made out that amount for it and it was paid, no, it was a check, I'm sorry. I'm upset. I am so upset over this whole ordeal. Nobody can even imagine.
Shirley, take your time. This is very important.
It is important. I'll be almost 78 years old in 2 weeks and I can't handle this.
You should
Today,
have- you should have-
today I get another notice that I've got almost $100 more due. I just paid, this Sandy, over the phone, she called me a liar. Okay, I'm getting another bill for $38.19. And she said, oh, well, I'll just deduct the interest on it. I paid that. I got a cashier's check and paid it last week. I'm sorry, well, past Wednesday, before Thanksgiving. Now today, I get this in the mail right before I came over here. Tell me they're gonna put my house up for sale. I have the copy of the check that was for August and November's taxes. What are they doing? And why are they doing this? They're being spiteful and ignorant and disrespectful and they're nitwits. Why? I have to check here. May I push the table? I can give you the copy of the check, canceled check, my check here.
Miss Shirley, is it possible that at the conclusion of this meeting, you can sit down with myself and Mr. Cardis, who's the business administrator, and we'll take a look at everything that's in your folder?
This has to be
Because we're not
stopped.
going to resolve this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, okay? Is it possible? Can you wait around till after the
I
meeting?
hope I'm still alive by then. This is just too much. It's too much.
I think you'll be alive by then.
How many other people have lost their homes
But-
because of someone's negligence?
But if we could sit down and take a look at it, that way we can ascertain what's in your file and
I
how,
hope so.
and how we
This
can
has to
move forward,
stop.
okay? All right, thank you. Miss, yes, go ahead.
Would you like a glass of water?
I have water, thank you.
Good evening. Benita Joy Morrison, La Cascada Homeowners Association. I live at 234 Via Cascada. Okay, first of all, before I get on my rap, I'd like to say that the HOA has already contacted everybody we can think of, the Consumer Affairs Department at the Post Office, the Regional Center, the Postmaster General in Washington, Center Minority, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so the issue is the post office in Clementine, and it's a rollout. So it started in Clementine, it hit Blackwood, it's going to hit all of Gloucester Township. They are no longer providing keys for the mailboxes in the kiosks in homeowners and condominium associations, which they have done forever. Okay, they are instructing the homeowners associations to do it themselves. Okay, instead of going a new homeowner or a new tenant before they went to the post office to get the key. Now they're telling them to come to the homeowners association. Okay, we are a very small association and we are board members. We're volunteers that run the place. Okay, so we don't have the time for this. We don't know what, sorry, let me stick to my. We are tasked with the care of the common area only, the HOA. We're very small, okay? The post office owns the mailboxes, and they have not provided any directions, instructions, et cetera, on how to provide keys for the homeowners. The homeowners coming into the community are now forced to call a locksmith out. The locksmith costs anywhere from $90 to $120. You know, you just bought a house, you just rented an apartment, now you gotta pitch out this kind of money. And I have already contacted a lot of realtors and asked them, please, like, pass the keys on, but I'm getting a lot of pushback from that too. As I gave all of you a copy of the letter that they are giving to homeowners that go to the post office to get their keys, okay? At the top of the letter cites the domestic mail manual, section 508.2.1.7. And page 2 is a copy of the domestic mail manual, section 508.2.1.7. If you read that paragraph, you'll notice that it applies to apartment complexes only. There is absolutely no mention of condominiums or homeowners associations in that paragraph, okay? And as we all know, apartment complexes, when you rent an apartment, you have always been provided keys by the property manager. Okay? Confusion is rampant. We have nowhere else to go. We have nowhere else to turn to. I've tried to contact the Postmaster General. He doesn't want to hear it. We don't know what to do. Help me, Obi-Wan. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about this, and I understand your situation. I see a difference between an apartment and a condo. Totally see it. But my question is this: might it be beneficial for the homeowners association to retain the services of a locksmith to handle each of the problems universally, as opposed to on an individual basis, where the new owner calls out?
What we're trying to do here is, because we are a limited homeowners association, our homes are not condominiums. We're always confused for an apartment complex. It makes me crazy. Townhouses are owned outright and the ground they sit on. We are the common area only. So we have very limited interaction with the homeowners. The most interaction we get from them is a parking pass. Okay, so not only that, we've been down this road before with master keys and problems of that nature. They want us to hold master keys and all this kind of stuff. I just don't see that kind of money for each person. We have a very high turnover at this point because we have had a resolution that we do not allow investors moving into the complex. And because our houses have increased in value by 600%, the investors that got in on the bottom are now getting out on top. So there is a very high turnover. So every day we have these people coming into the office. I need a key, I need a key. So it's creating a serious problem. I've heard from other homeowners associations. It's happening in Valley Brook. It's happening everywhere. We don't know what to do.
But if John Q. Locksmith has a deal with the homeowners, with your association,
Mhm.
and he's gonna get paid a monthly fee, just a monthly fee.
We don't have a budget for that.
Hear me out, because if you did that, I think it might be a lot more affordable to the individuals of the association. And hey, somebody might be willing to make a deal like that.
I don't know. I'm sensing a business opportunity. Anybody want to step up, like become a locksmith? No, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that you understand that we don't want to get involved as a homeowners association. We don't want to be the middleman. We don't want anything to do with it. We feel that it should be like a regular house. When you buy your house, you got your house keys and your mail keys. Why should it be any different? And why are they doing this to us? And what is the directions?
Benita,
Yes, sir.
you had indicated that you reached out to Valley Brook, and
Yes.
Valley Brook, they're also assuming the the HOA or the new homeowner has to bear the responsibility of getting new keys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're looking for some direction from us?
Right. We're looking for
Or some
direction from
assistance-
anybody.
Some assistance.
When I contacted the Consumer Affairs Division of the Post Office, they didn't even know what I was talking about with keys. And when they got back to me, all they did was take my complaint and bounce it back to the postmaster that wrote the original letter there. So we're going around and around and around and we're getting nowhere. Okay. And there's no directions. Our kiosks, that's federal property. All right. We don't even know whose mailbox is whose because they're coded. Okay. So if homeowner from, say I sold my unit tomorrow, 234, okay, and the locksmith came up to change the locks, unless the post office came out to show them where the mailbox is, they're not going to know. It's not like they're numbered 234, 235. They're not. They're coded, and there's no way the guy that delivers the mail knows the codes. That's it.
Benita, can you come up here and give me your phone number or to the clerk so we can contact you? I have some ideas of how we can move forward with this, okay?
I just suggest also, ma'am, have you tried to contact Congressman Norcross's office?
Yes, we have. Senator Mowbray already also. Thank you.
Did you hear back from them?
No. We did hear back from Senator Moriarty's office. We did not hear back.
Well, he's a state state.
Right,
Congressman Norcross is
Right.
federal, and
right.
I mean,
We
I know our
spoke to,
mayor's office. will help
people in
you.
his office, but he did not get back to us, or at least they didn't give us back to us with anything
I
constructive.
know our mayor's office will help you get in touch with someone there at his office.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Anthony Zamboni, and
Anthony,
Mayor.
can you have your last name again? I'm sorry.
it's Zamboni, Szamboti,
Okay.
and I'm probably getting emotional here. I had a fire. I'm a former Gloucester Township resident since 1994 through this past March, and my house burned down March 8th, and I think it was solar panels. I got them. They were turned on last May. And I want you to know, I'm a mechanical engineer, and Amazon and Walmart have had a lot of problems with solar panels. And we're putting them up on wooden framed houses and running 150 DC current through attics. And they have no drainage system in their conduit. And the temperature of an arc flash, you may not be aware, and I didn't realize it got this hot, but it is 35,000 degrees. Conduit is insignificant to that. The night before, March 7th, there was a violent thunderstorm, 70, 80 miles an hour. Made me take note. There was a huge pattern on the back windows. The house is destroyed, by the way. It needs to be demolished. It's in your township here. And I looked out the front, and it was swirling like crazy. And it was 70, 80 miles an hour. Very next day at 20 to 5, I got a call at my house on fire. I got here, and there's 70 fire engines, and the house was shut. The beams, I was in the house numerous times. They were charcoal, every living space. I got a few lawn tools and some of my hand tools out of the house. That's all I got. So I want you to know about that. There's a serious problem with water with these solar panels. It's not the panels themselves. The engineering on the panels is fine. It's the installation. And they're using mismatched connectors. Now, the mismatch is not configuration. They fit together. It's disimilar metals. Disimilar metals have a voltage between them. That's how batteries made. And with water's conductive, and it causes corrosion. Those panels were turned on. That system was turned on last May. 9.5 months later, it burns my house down. So I want Gloucester Township, and I'm telling other people this. I believe these things should be in fields maintained by competent power company technicians. The other thing that you can do is alert your building inspectors to the fact that they're getting water in them. In fact, Sonova, the company that owned the system, it was a lease agreement, PPA they call it, you might be aware of that. They admitted I'm still on the mailing list in July 1st when I was living in an apartment here at Washington Way. That if you get water in your conduit, call an electrician. How would you possibly know? How would any of us know we had water in our conduit? Right? You need to drain it. I've designed high-end, severe environment electronics and Lockheed for satellites, ships, and aircraft. We drain. It's very hard to seal large items because when the air outside has and it's wet, is at a higher pressure, you have a partial pressure water vapor. It creates a driving force. The rain doesn't have to be hitting the hole. The hole can be in the back, it'll drive it in. For instance, you can take a box and assemble a 50% relative humidity at a factory up here, send it down to Cape Canaveral, and put it in an unconditioned space, and over time, they've opened them up, and they might have had a half a pint of water in them because it drove it in at higher relative humidity. So that's one thing I want you to be aware of. I want everybody to be aware of that. You might want to tell your building inspectors to see what kind of connectors they're using, because I think that's what happened. The damage is right where the conduit converged. Major damage. The whole second story. There's a colonial over here. The whole second story. That whole peak of that second floor where that conduit converged. So that's one thing. I want you to know that. Second thing is, I believe my taxes should have been reduced as of March 8th. So I paid the full amount of tax on May 1st, because there's so many things to do, and I didn't want anybody pulling the trigger on a sheriff's sale or something like that. I was dealing with the insurance company. And then in July, when I had a little more breath to give, I called the tax collector or the tax office. And I was told they couldn't change it to just the land. I'm willing to pay the land tax. They couldn't change it to just the land until January 1st, 2023. I didn't, I mean, you know, I don't know the law precisely, but I've investigated it now. And the law doesn't speak specifically to reductions, but it does speak to added assessments. That was, he was saying he can't change it mid-year. Okay, well, added assessments, it specifically addresses added assessments. And that gets changed mid-year. If you put an addition on your house, the tax collector, the tax assessor works with the permits with the building inspector. They come out, and when it's ready for use, they reassess, and that new tax gets levied mid-year, the first day of the next month after it's assessed. So it's $3,100. I wound up selling the house for $10,000. That doesn't tell you. The house is worth $350,000 to $400,000. It's destroyed. So I would like to know why I'm not getting a reduction. I want to pay the land tax, but as of March 8th, I shouldn't have had to pay the improvement tax. Property tax is a function of improvement and the land. Okay, and the land was only 27%. So I paid 73% more tax than I should have been paying.
Anthony, thank you for sharing your story on the solar panels. I'm sorry about the loss of your home.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you why you didn't get a reduction, but we could try to find out. And I'm just speaking out loud, Mr. Clymer. I know that, so I'm the liaison to the MUA, and if there is a house fire, one of the first things the MUA does is on their board agenda, they waive the fee, the sewer fee for that home, because that home has been demolished. It's inhabitable. So I don't want to speak too much on what we can do.
I'm not asking you,
but I need your address and phone number. So Mr. Carr, Mayor, myself, and Mr. Cars can follow up on this for you.
I make sure to
Okay.
speak after the assessment.
Could you come up here and provide your phone number? Mr. D'Amico, you're next, okay?
Good evening, Council. Joe D'Amico, Autumn
Evening,
Court.
Joe.
In regard to the pickleball court, there are people that like these things, and they're very popular, but at a time when we don't need, everybody said that we're spending and we're borrowing, let's convert some tennis courts. You can convert 2 tennis courts, and it's a matter of line striping and cinching down courts to a specific height, and we don't have to make any improvements to any parking lots. We see how they go, and if we need more in the future, then maybe revisit it, or maybe we could apply for grants down the road where we can do these things. But Public Works could turn around and put line striping on these things, and we wouldn't be out of pocket nearly anything. So that I would say table this, or don't approve it. There's no reason to do it. We can work within what we have. There's tennis courts, right across from Valley Brook that are never used, and we could sample them, see how well it goes, see how much traffic are being used, and if there's something as a town that we feel that it's worth pursuing, let's do it then.
Joe, when it was first brought up to me, Paul Bakey from Broadmoor said, hey, come on over to these tennis courts in Broadmoor.
Mm-hmm.
And right before I was about to go over there, he said, they're being used. They were doing, I think he said they were hockey or something like that. And a lot of people were using it. So, I agreed. I thought that was a good idea. I've never seen.
You can fit 8 of these things if done properly, and it's just a matter, you put 8 of them onto 2 courts. They're 120 by 60, a normal tennis court, and you size it down. It took me 2 seconds to Google all this stuff. And it's a creative solution to, what shouldn't really be a financial problem. And it's something we, well within our means to do. At Community Park, I think there's like maybe 6 or 8 courts. There, you convert 2 of them. We still have adequate, we have courts everywhere, all over town. So if you want to sample it, rather than spending $500,000 and we don't need it. We don't know what sort of shortage of stuff we're gonna have next week. I know you're working on it. But, all health insurance is going through the roof. Everybody's going up 20-30%. There's nothing saying next year we're not gonna run short again. So anything we're able to save as a town, I think it's in our best interest as a town to do something, and we can still provide a service. You're not taking away, there's never 6 courts completely full, and the towns and the schools aren't using those, right? The high schools aren't using those as for sporting events and things like that, right? Because Highland has their own. I just think it's a creative solution, and it really, all you have to do is cinch down 3 straps that lower this thing down to 32 inches or something like that. And it's a matter of line striping, which costs next to nothing. So that's my suggestion. I hope you guys take it under advisement and try to save the town a little bit of money when we can. All right? Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Mr. Polidoro?
Good evening again, council. Rick Caldor from Ariel.
Good evening.
Just Ariel?
First time it's the historic village. In any event, after hearing Mr. D'Amico's suggestion, it makes me curtail what I was going to say. Mr. Hutchins, you made a comment about a lot of people are asking for this pickleball, so it seemed the prudent thing to do. A lot of people ask for their taxes to go down. A lot of people ask for you to fix their roads, and neither of those happen. So it's great that it's popular, and as Mr. D'Amico just indicated, you can do both with that. But potholes is always a good idea. I did see the huge pothole in front of my house. Got covered over today, and Public Works was out there filling it. It was impressive. Still, half the street is not paved. 11 years on the 8-year waiting list. Eventually, I'm hoping that'll get done, and that you guys can look into that street being done the rest of the way.
And we keep a list. We keep a list of the streets, right?
Public Works already had that. It was 8-year waiting list back in Lenny Moffitt's day, and that was 11 years ago. And they did the middle of this street. Both ends are just brutal. Yeah. The other thing that, if you don't mind, that I wanted to make a point, and with the borrowing and the input from the folks, okay, it just gets tough when you live in a township. You like the township, you like living here, you like the people that you live amongst, but the pattern, tax and spend and borrow and tax and spend and borrow, it's tough. The federal government's doing what they're doing to us, inflation's doing, and you guys haven't slowed up one bit. It's brutal, it's tough. And yet, when folks want to come up here and speak, there was a time when Mr. Bianchini sat at that chair. And Mr. Mercado, I wasn't real nice to you at the time, and I said, I hope you could be half the man that he was. And that time clock means so damn much to you that you'll leave people's hands standing in the air. And in a good and effective government, you want to hear the people. Some nights it'll go on long, but you don't know that. I was going to call you Mercado, Mr. Hutchison. Sending an email in, an e-gov letter, is another way that someone can send in the questions that they have. Because Mr. Mercado and Mr. Cardis have both asked for that information to be sent on detailed questions that would allow them the time to research for an adequate answer and to bring that answer to the council meeting. By insinuating that a person's e-gov question not be read because they're in audience, I would ask you to refer to the time clock that means more than hearing the people. If you're anti-transparency and you're anti-public input, just say it. That I was real, I've known you and I know you. That was horrible.
Right, I want to address that, and I obviously am going to take some of your time, but an email or an e-gov question sent at 4 o'clock the day of this meeting. Come on, how can anybody give a real meaningful response to that?
Well, let's take a look at the schedule. Gloucester Township closed on Friday. Thursday, the agenda goes out, okay? There's not a lot of action. You have from the close of business at 5:45 on Thursday, and then you've got the weekend to read it, and then compile your thoughts as well. But, you know, this township doesn't do business on Friday. It doesn't count as a day. So let's take an honest look at that. But, all right, but for the most part, don't shut the people down. You want to talk about this, Mr. Mercado? Your comment was, let's take another look at it at reorganization. Considering Mr. Hutchinson's idea to not read the EGOV question because somebody's sitting out here. You give us 3 minutes in the beginning and you give us 5 minutes if you get a chance to come back up. And I'm grateful that you do give me that opportunity. Okay, but there are people that have more than a few questions. It will run past the 5 minutes. This lady's story is heart-wrenching. And yet,
And that's why we're spending time with her, Ray.
Every,
We're not sitting up here
yeah, but you're
talking
also,
about the same
don't
thing
pat yourself on the back too much
over
because
and over
you,
again, Ray.
this body
Ray.
and this administration
People
put this lady in that position. You raised her taxes. And this
Okay.
township has an expedited tax sale. You give her only so much time and she gets that red letter in the mail. Don't pat yourself on the back. You people helped put her in that position, and don't you forget that.
No, you can't walk away from.
Oh, Mr. Mercado's telling me my time's up. I want to respect that. Thank you.
Good night. Ms. Smithman, you're our last speaker.
Good evening. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, apartment 341. The keys for my United States Postal Service assigned mail slot were given to me by the Clementon Post Office located near the Clementon Park Shopping Center. I had to request from the United States Postal Service in order to get the keys to my United States Postal Service assigned mail slot. I wanted to bring up once again, if I could, the importance of connecting the community to the municipalities. The fire department, the police department are two that are most commonly used by the people that live anywhere. If it would be considered to possibly place on street signs the address to the local police department and the local fire department, to place that address on the street signs. If it's a sign that indicates what street you're on in the township of Gloucester, then on that sign, that spot of planet Earth, put the police department that serves that spot of planet Earth and the fire department that serves that spot of planet Earth. Place it at wheelchair height so that it's accessible to people in wheelchairs as well as to children or people of shorter stature. People that are taller or small, they know where it is. If you could indicate it with a picture for people that cannot read or are not familiar with the language, so they'll know which is the fire department and which one is the police department. If you could place on it also in Braille for people that cannot read or that are blind. If you're blind, they get around remarkably well. They will know where the street signs are. They're placed at standard places on corners. If that could please be something that would be considered. Also, if you could put it in raised or recessed writing, so that you can place a postcard up to it and sketch with a crayon, a piece of chalk, or even a green leaf or piece of grass should imprint enough ink onto a piece of paper to get whatever might need to be disclosed to the local police or the local fire, hazards that are not necessarily emergencies, but would be important. Also, I found on my son's computer evidence in Napster. I tried to call the Federal Bureau of Investigations. I called and I spoke with an FBI agent, and they told me that there is no way for a common citizen to pay the fine or penalty for copyright infringement for music, movies, or anything that is copyrighted, that you have to wait for the $250,000 fine plus 5 years imprisonment and or up to whatever the penalties are. So it occurred to me, since it's not possible for someone to turn themselves in, if the technology was made available, could Gloucester Township please accept and make available to everyone a place to pay fines or penalties for watching illegally reproduced movies or music or books even? I think it would provide a good conscience for people. I think that people would pay. If they weren't supposed to watch it, they would find a way to make good on it. If that technology was made available, I think that that would be a very good thing for Gloucester Township.
Ms. Smith, with both parts, and we discussed this over the last few years with you, the township.
Only 1 year.
Excuse me?
1 year. I've only been
Only
here.
1 year.
And then I've been attending Gloucester Township City Council meetings.
No, you,
I've attended a couple over the past 7 years.
nevertheless, okay, we're not gonna move forward with those
All
requests.
right, thank you, Mr. Mercado.
Okay.
Also, on November 14th, 2022 of this year, that was a Monday, there was a city council meeting that ran past 10 p.m., did it not?
Quite possibly.
It ran past 10 p.m. So now, or is it new that we are going to be a strict adherence to time? I ask that because on the 21st of November, 2022, apparently there was a Gloucester Township City Council meeting. You needed the internet in order to know that it was a special meeting. I had no idea, so I did not attend. I pay for internet. I do not have access to the internet. So was there a meeting?
There was a meeting, there was a special meeting, yes,
What day?
on Monday, the 21st of November,
What year?
2022.
Thank you. And there was also a planning board meeting the next day, the Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. But then at the end of the meeting, I asked the question, that was before 10 p.m., the meeting adjourned. I asked the question of whether or not, when were city council meetings or planning board meetings scheduled for? They told me that they're scheduled the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. But that was on the 22nd of November, which is the third Tuesday. You needed the email in order to know that your special meeting on the 21st of November was scheduled. You have to answer questions when people come up for the public speaking portion. You have to answer them right away, regardless of when an email is sent.
Ms. Smithman, the 22nd was the fourth Tuesday of November.
Isn't this the fourth Monday?
No, it's the third.
No, today, the 28th.
No, 20th, I'm sorry, I'm looking at 21st. Yes, it is.
Okay, so that was the third. Last week was
The
the,
planning board, you said, was scheduled on the fourth Tuesday.
that's what I'm told, that they're supposed to be scheduled for the fourth Tuesday. That's what they told me at the meeting. That occurred on the third Tuesday of the month of November. Were you at that meeting, sir?
I was at the meeting.
What day was it?
22nd is the fourth Tuesday.
So then what Monday is this Monday? We're still in
Fourth
November.
Monday. The first.
November
Oh,
1st
November
was the
1st
first,
Was a Tuesday.
was the first Tuesday.
But this is the fourth Monday, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
So then tomorrow would be the, oh, because of the Tuesday. I see.
there you go.
All right, well, I'm
All
over
right. Do you have anything else? Because your time is up, I believe.
No, I can't. You said my time is up.
All right, thank you. Have a great evening. For the second portion, polling of directors.
Mr. Carlin.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Parks.
Nothing to report.
Chief Harkins.
Just that we're supporting the Mayor's Toy Drive. If anybody wants to donate toys for the toys, the Mayor's Toy Drive, we have the stuff truck up front. You can see the officer working the watch desk, and it's a good thing. We've had a lot of kids come up and put toys into the trunk. So that's all.
Mr. McGill.
Thank you.
Mr. Hutchinson.
Thank you very much for coming.
Mrs. Albright Trucks.
Thank you for coming.
Mrs. Zimmerman. Thank you for coming. Mr. Mian.
Everybody be safe. Thank you for coming. Have a great week.
Mr. Mercado.
Thank you for coming out this evening. If you can keep the family of Jim Lilly in your thoughts and prayers. Jim Lilly was the longtime superintendent, 27 years for Gloucester Township Public School District. He passed away the night before, the afternoon before Thanksgiving. Mr. Lilly was, I believe, a founding member of the Rotary here in town and still an active member up until maybe the last year. So if you can keep his family in thoughts in your prayer. Lilly School, located on Williamstown Road, is named after Mr. Lilly. This Saturday is the Blackwood Fire Christmas Parade, 6 o'clock downtown Blackwood. Starting off by the outlets and coming up and finishing up on Church Street. And then on December 11th is the Christmas Village here in Veterans Park, followed by the tree lighting, I believe at 6:30. There'll be vendors out here, the main stage, in our Christmas Village, and there'll be a carousel out there as well, I believe. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Have a great evening, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, Mike Mosley does. Okay. Yeah, good shot. Say happy night, bro. You too, man. Thanks, good seeing you. Good to see you.
Tom Genesis.